real business owners.
I had these thoughts actually recently on our family trip when we were up in Montana. I was doing some morning workouts, and then I went to do some writing, and I started reflecting on, man, what are the things that my parents did right? Because I've spent a lot of time through all my years of therapy and talking to other people and coaching other people like friends and family that are going through stuff in their life about learning from all those mistakes and those imperfections. And while it is powerful that it is a choice that you can take away some real gifts from those imperfections, it's also important to reflect on the things that were done right. And that was kind of my message to my family in Father's Day this week. And so I want to kind of share some of those things with you guys as well, because at the end of the day, I guess if I want to talk a little bit about the imperfections, I mean, man, my recipe for becoming a high achiever is I feel like you got to have these three things. And this is what works for me, okay, is you got to have love, okay? You got to have a deep love for what it is you want to achieve it in your life. There's got to be some purpose behind it. And a lot of the imperfections, like my family, we grew up with money problems. There was a lot of fights in our home. I mean, like legitimate fights where like one of my parents went to jail multiple times. Like I can't tell you how many times the cops were out in front of our house and it was the talk of the neighborhood because one of them got hauled off in handcuffs for domestic violence or whatever, right? But it was usually stemming around money. And so I learned at a very young age that money was powerful. And I fell in love with the idea of being rich, of having money, of having wealth. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's really what's driven me. I mean, we grew up in a Mormon community. We used to have these people that would come over and they called it home teaching, right? And our home teacher would come over, and I remember I was very young, probably only 7 or 8 years old. And after all these fights about money and problems with the IRS and, you know, these battles that turned into jail time for some of my parents, I just learned really young that, man, I love money. I love the idea of the freedom that money gives us. And so my whole life, when people like kids in school were talking about like what they want to be when they grow up, I mean, I was just like, I don't care. I want to be rich. And I remember this home teacher one time, he says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm really young. And I just looked at him. I said, I want to be a millionaire. And he laughed. He laughed at me and he said, okay, that's cool, but what do you want to do to become a millionaire? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't thought that far about it. You know, I just want to be a millionaire. I want to be rich. And so for as long as I can remember, I love the idea of money. So deep, right? That's kind of what drives me. And one of the messages I like people to understand is that there is no love without fear. And so fear can either be paralyzing or it can be fuel. And I've always used that fear of like not becoming a high achiever, not being successful in the money department to fuel me to push through a lot of things in my life. But getting back to my mom and my dad, it's funny because my mom, she's always been a fighter. And you know, as long as I can remember, she did not let people walk on her. She did not let people mess with her family. And she would go to crazy lengths to protect us. And it was all out of love, right? She did a lot of these things out of love, but she had that in her. And I got that from her. You know, I'm the nicest guy you'll ever meet in business until you cross me, until you try and screw me or screw the people that work within my company. If you are creating a situation that's going to harm the ability for the people in my company or me and my family to eat, like, man, I'm a fighter. You better look out. But I'm also a fighter against myself as well. And I got that from her. I mean, to share a couple quick stories with you guys. I mean, I remember I came home from the 7th grade and I had a black eye. I got beat up by a 9th grader. And my mom says, what the hell happened to you? And I told her the story, you know, this kid, you know, he'd been picking on me for a while. I didn't come home. I didn't want to talk about it. It wasn't something that, you know, I wanted my parents to solve for me. But man, she threw me in the car. We go driving down the road to find this kid. And I told her who it was. We actually didn't know where this kid lived. But as we're driving down the road, we saw the kid walking home. And my mom, man, she aimed her car right at him. She revved her car up. She almost like drifted into this kid, you know. She jumps out. She grabs that little shit and she starts letting him have it. She did not care about the repercussions because my mom's a fighter, man. You mess with her, you know, you're going to get a fighter. You're going to get somebody coming back at you 10 times. And that's really just something that she instilled in me. And I want to highlight that about her because, you know, we talk about a lot of the imperfections. We talk about the things things, the traumas that we get in our upbringing, that our parents do, that we get to learn from. They're gifts if we choose for them to be. I mean, or we can stay a victim and not learn from those things, but there's 99.9% of the time the people that raised you that instill some good things into you as well. My mom, she's just not a pushover, and you need that in business. You have to be a fighter. You cannot be a pushover. You know, you can't let people walk on you. You've got to be able to jump in, and you got to be able to have that fight sometimes.